So we're in Peru, and I love that. What I love about the show is that they like to travel to different places that normally Americans wouldn't travel to. And it's not because we don't want to travel to those places, but in America, we only get a lot of beach destinations advertised to us as like the vacation spots to go to. We get like Jamaica and the Maldives, but rarely do we get like Peru or Tuscany. And I'm so glad that this show is like taking us around certain places, especially places that I've been interested in but have never really seen. And now that I'm able to see Peru, it's definitely on like my travel list. So good on you, Bachelor. Now that we've got the heartwarming stuff out of the way, let's get into this messy show. So Arie sent home TT to keep indecisive Kendall. Okay, that makes sense. So Arie and Kendall's date is like riding sand dunes in Peru, which is just so magical. All of the dates on this show, especially this episode, was really, really magical. Stuff that I'm like, and y'all know I'm bougie, but it was stuff that I was just like, I would really like to do that. Like this show alone has had a lot of dates. No other, like the Bachelorette, I was like, hell to the no. Paradise, nope, none of them dates look like they were anywhere on my level. But The Bachelor has really been putting in work, and I think they were putting in work in other areas because The Bachelor really didn't match up to the hype of this show. So good on y'all for these good behind dates, because aside from that, so Kendall, 23, right? I still, to this day, do not understand why she didn't get the same work as baby Becca when they were just like a year apart. Because it's very understandable that someone who is 22 or 23 is not sure if this is a person they want to spend their life with and create life with. So I understand them being like, you know, I'm not quite sure. They're a few years into adulthood and now some old dude wants to make them a wife and a mom. And I can understand them not being ready for that. What I can't understand is why Kendall did not get the same kind of pushback that baby Becca did. On Kendall and Arie's date, Kendall finally reveals that she is falling for Arie, and I don't believe it for 1 second. I honestly feel like she felt pressured to say it. I did not believe this whole, I'm finally falling for him. I think she's infatuated by him. I think she's more or less being infatuated by how the show is courting her, but I don't think that she is even close to falling in love with Arie. And it felt pressured to me, especially when just a few minutes ago she was crying to production in her confessional about not being ready and not being sure, having a whole meltdown. How do you have a meltdown like that and then the next moment you're just like, I'm falling for you? I didn't buy it, Kendall. I didn't buy it. And then she decides to take the fantasy suite with him after she was confused and not sure and not ready. She still takes the fantasy suite with Arie. That's a 23-year-old move, girl. And did y'all see Arie and Kendall's bed in the fantasy suite? It was so tiny. Arie's feet were like dangling off the bed. I was just like, if y'all are going to get it in, how are y'all going to have sex in that medium bed? Now we get to Lauren and Arie's date. And Lauren, I don't know how she's made it this far. She's so stoic. Like, even when she's talking about Arie, there's no emotion. She's not giving anything. She's sitting there and she's just like, yeah, well, I think that I'm falling in love with him. Really, girl? You can't even convince yourself. She looked like a damn robot to me. Like, there's no emotion there. And I can probably see why Arie is interested in her, because they are both like dead inside. I just don't get it. I don't know how the girl with no personality made it this far. Like, when you make Arie seem like the lively one, then you know that there is something wrong. She does the bare minimum. She barely speaks to him, and she is still like has him wrapped in her like wing of roboticness. He is just enamored by this girl. She just breathes and he's like, oh my goodness, this is the one. I don't see it. I don't understand. I don't get it. And at this point, I don't feel like production is holding anything back. I think that this is Lauren. This is Lauren, the woman who gives nothing and still gets the Bachelor to fall for her. Bravo, girl. I can't hate on that. Bravo. She like gives him this weird kind of ultimatum and like trying to guilt him into, you know, making or like reassuring her that she's the only one that he's interested in, because she's saying, I know you've dealt with this before, but I don't know if this is something that I can do, because I can't stay here if I'm not the only one you see. And I'm like, girl, why did you sign up for The Bachelor? I feel like every season of The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, there's always some person who gets on this show and it's just like, I need to be the only one. I'm getting jealous that you're dating all of these people. I can't believe I'm feeling like this. I can't believe that they're spending time with this person. And I'm just like, have you not seen this show? Like when you signed up, when you got cast on the show, did you not do research? Do you not understand what you're in for? Because how do you get jealous? How do you feel like this person should be with you and you only when you signed up for a show to get the attention of somebody who is dating 30 people? It's the name of the game. I felt bad for Arie in that moment because I felt like she was trying to manipulate him to like make his decision right there. And I'm like, girl, what more do you need? He gives you more energy, more work than anybody else. Arie is not focused on anybody else. You are the only girl he sees. And I kind of feel like she's being very selfish from the other girls who are there as well. It's like, this is the show. This is what they do. You can't come on here and like try to make him be like, oh, I need to be the only one for you. Then don't sign up for The Bachelor because that's the name of the game of this show. So, further watching this, I realized something, guys. I realized why Lauren is so like stoic and like emotionless. It's because homegirl has Botox. Like her forehead is Botox. I don't know about the rest of her face, but I was watching this scene with her and Arie, and the camera guy like got a close-up of her face, and she was talking to him the whole time, and nothing from here to here moved. Like nothing. So I was just like, oh, you do have a soul. You're not a robot. You just have really good Botox. Good for you, girl, but it doesn't work for TV. We need to see what's going on in here so the viewers could feel for you. But when you're not giving us anything, we just think that you're like some heartless Barbie doll. But now that I realize it's Botox, I can finally understand. So mystery solved, guys. You know what? I was thinking that maybe like when this is all over, while we're waiting for the next, for the Bachelorette, I was thinking I should do like a Bachelorette unsolved mysteries, and like all of the questions that you guys want answered, you could submit them to me, and then I'll like research them and like do like a quick show about what I've found thus far. I don't know. Let me know if you're interested in seeing that. If I have time, I will definitely do something about that because I have so many questions about this franchise, and I would like to just start doing some research and figuring them out. But if you're interested in knowing these things as well, I'll definitely do it for you guys as well. So let me know in the comment section below if you want to see something like that. Having said that, Lauren, the Botox is enough. I think you may want to ease up off it a bit because I feel like you get way too much Botox and it kind of gives you a lazy eye. I'm not hating on Botox. Eventually, I'm going to need to do it because I have very expressive eyebrows and my eyebrows are like pushing this skin. You know what? I've been out in LA too long. It's not a problem. I got to get back to Philly. Nobody Botox is in Philly. And I feel like all of a sudden I'm considering Botox out here in Los Angeles. I got to get back home. Pray for me. Now let's talk about the moment where it was solidified for me that Arie is going to pick Lauren, because they're sitting there having dinner. Lauren is giving him nothing aside from the Botox. She is still not giving Arie nothing. And she's telling him that she has like issues or whatever. She like trust issues. She really doesn't know. And I'm like, girl, if you have trust issues, you should not be on the show. I feel like Lauren was saying everything that would get somebody else like CN cut, but Arie was just falling more and more in love with her because he looks her straight in the eye, did not take a bite of anything to eat, did not look away, did not make something funny out of it and then say it, or did not give a whole long story about how he was falling for her. He looks her straight in the eye, and I think he grabbed her hands, looked her straight in the eye and said, I love you. Not no, I'm falling, I think I may be, I love you. He said it to her twice. The game is over. The game is over. Becca, Kendall, whoever is, yeah, it's just Becca and Kendall, right? I was about to say baby Becca. Whoever is left, it's over. He meant that. I'm telling you guys, that came from his soul. He looked that woman dead in her eyes, her dead eyes, okay? And said, I love you, and said it twice. She didn't say it to him first. Normally, when you're on that side, when you're the Bachelor or the Bachelorette, they normally, the people who are interested in you normally say that they love you or that they're falling for you so you can keep them longer. But Lauren, she is playing this game so well because she knows that she has this due and he does not want to lose her. She didn't even say it right away. Then she said, oh yeah, I'm falling in love with you too. Oh, you're falling in love? Arie is in love. I was like, the game is over. Why are we still here? Why are we still here? Arie picked Lauren. The next day, they're in the fantasy suite. What does Arie say to her when they're waking up? I love you. The game is over. Production, pack it up. Let's go home. Why do we even need 2 episodes next week? We already know what this is at this point. Now it's Arie's date with Becca, who I called it from the beginning. I was like, this girl is going to be the pick. I felt like he was very different for her, and I do feel like he felt something for her. I do feel like he was infatuated with her in the beginning, and it was different than it was with like baby Becca. I felt like he was aroused by baby Becca, but I really felt like he had something with Becca. However, on this date, I felt like it was a contractual obligation for Arie to go on this date with her, because he just did not give me the same energy. He didn't give me the same spark. He didn't give me that same kind of passion that he gave to stoic Lauren. And Becca was doing the most. Like, homegirl was really putting it on. She was hugging him, you know, complimenting him, doing everything. But it was, for me, I felt like it was just too late. I just felt like, girl, you don't need to do anything else at this point. His mind is made up. He's doing this because the show has like 2 more episodes, and they can't, like, you know, pick the girl right away. So they have to like go through the motions with you and Kendall. But he's made, his heart has already made his decision, and I feel like he made his decision a couple episodes ago, especially when he was dragging her around Tuscany, trying to impress her, about to break his neck on a bike, doing the most to let Lauren know that he was into her. So at that point, I started to feel like maybe this competition has already been won, and this episode solidified it for me. Go home, Becca. It's over. Here's why. Because Becca said that she loved Arie first. Okay? Didn't know that the ladies had to do that, but obviously they do now when you're not Lauren. So she says that she loves him. He responds, but I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it. Like, when he said that he loved her, I did not believe it. I didn't get the truthfulness that I got from the I love you that he said to Lauren. I felt like he meant, like, I love the things about you, or just, he could say it in a way where it was truthful to him and not lying and playing a game, because he did love Becca, you know what I mean? But he's not in love with Becca. Like, he loves her as the person that she is, as the nice girl that she is, as somebody who has been so wonderful to him, but he's not in love with her. He's in love with Lauren. So now let's talk about this foolishness. So after Becca's beautiful date with Arie, all of a sudden we get like this camera motion, and the cameraman is like looking down at feed, and you can hear somebody on production, can we talk to you? Can we talk to you? And then this bad actor is just like, no, you can't. I'm coming to get my girl. That should be my proposal. Listen, I know a lot of this stuff is, you know, staged. You know, we've all seen Unreal, right? However, as a viewer, I expect more. I expect you to do the most to make me believe what's going on. I did not for one second believe that Becca's ex, Ross, you know, stalked the show, found out where Lauren was, hopped on a plane to Peru, drove whatever, and found production or whatever, and got dropped off here to come confront Arie and then get his girl back. I don't believe it for one second. And even though I didn't believe it, I also felt like production didn't put in enough work on this storyline to make it believable. I just felt like they just threw it together and was just like, it is what it is. And maybe because Ross is not an actor, he couldn't pull it off. I don't know, but I was just very disappointed in this. It was such a clunky storyline. None of it made sense. I'm like, you mean to tell me all the fans who have been stalking this show, trying to find out what is going on from date to date, can't get any kind of information, but this dude, who, I'm sorry, does not look like he is on Google every day trying to get information, was able to find out where this show, not only where Becca is, her own family don't have this information, but you were able to get the information. You were able to get their shooting location. Do you know how dangerous that is? So this storyline is very ID channel, because you're essentially saying that this dude stalked Becca and came here to get her back. That's not cute. That's not a love story. It's actually really scary. Although I don't believe that storyline, the fact that they went with that he stalked the show to find the girl that he wanted to marry, the fact that they went with that, I was disappointed as well. Let's be real. Casting sat down with Becca before she was even cast on the show and got everything out of her. Production, after they cast her, took what casting gave them and went through all of the notes about her relationship. That's why she has to mention her ex so much. She probably doesn't talk about him this much in her real life, but she needed to talk about him so that they could build this storyline for her. So that's why she's always bringing up the ex and the emotions and all this stuff. So when they go through the notes, they find out about the ex. ex. So then they reach out to the ex because the people that you mentioned in casting, you have to give information and you have to let these people know that they may or may not be reached out to by production. So it's a whole thing that you have to go through, right? So production reached out to him and was just like, listen, would you be available to come out to Peru to get Becca back? It will pay you, we'll give you, we'll pay for your flight, we'll give you free room and board, we'll feed you, we'll give you exposure. Come on, like, let's stop playing here. This boy was put on this show because I didn't believe him for 1 second that he won her back. I didn't believe it. Becca didn't even believe it. She knows him long enough to know when he playing games and when he being real. I didn't believe it for 1 second that dude wanted her back. Because first of all, he came in this medium suit, hair gel to the side, all on camera, just hamming it up. Like, it was so staged. It was so fake and forced. And the only person I felt bad for in that moment was Becca. Because she had somebody from her real life who she had a 7-year relationship with come to this show, ham it up, and exploit their relationship for TV time. He didn't want her, guys. No, I didn't believe it for 1 second. She didn't believe it. I also did feel bad for Arie because I know that he didn't know. Because when he said that, I thought he was hotel management. I was like, oop, I see that read, Arie. I see that read. I felt bad for him too because I don't think that he knew as well, but... And I think that because we started to get some things from Arie that we haven't seen this whole show. Like, you know, when he was calling a guy a nerd, then cussing under his breath, and then being very angry. I felt like he was trying to keep a lot of things down because he had to keep this persona up for the show. But I knew that he was not aware of it. I knew that Becca was not aware of it, but I felt the worst for her because she was in a 7-year relationship with this guy. To see somebody that you loved come on this show, and she knows him for who he really is, so she knew he was playing a part, and she didn't like it. She was hurt by it, and I could see that hurt. And let me just say this, I saw a lot of people on Twitter talking about they want him to be the next Bachelor. He's so fine, he's this, he's that. I'll give you that. Ross is fine. His cakes are glorious, okay? I knew he was a football player by the way he walked, so I know that he is built. I get it. The guy is attractive. When I first saw him, I was just like, oh, Becca, why didn't it work out? But as Becca was talking to him, and she kept on stopping short of saying what he did to her, that spoke volumes to me. I knew everything he did from her not saying anything. I know that he was terrible to her. I know that he mistreated her. And I know that he did something to make her fear him because the way she looked at him when that door was open, like when she opened the door, it was shock, but I could also see fear. And I think that she knew she was okay because the cameras were there, but I was just like, oh no, I don't care how fine that dude is. He was terrible to her, and her body language says it all. Just the way she was interacting with him, I was like, he treated her terribly. He was terrible to that girl for 7 years, and he was also a popular football player, so you know how them popular athletes treat them girlfriends. So I could only imagine the stories that she could tell everybody, and she was so respectful by not revealing what he did, because she kept on stopping. I was watching her, guys. She kept on stopping from saying what he did, and she was just like, I know you. And to just be this kind of selfish dude, it's also unattractive. Like, not only we're going to play with this storyline, did you stalk her and find her on the show, you also put her on ice for a year, have not even, spoke the girl's name. Then all of a sudden, when you find out that somebody else is not only interested in her, but thinking about making her his wife, now you want to come out and now you want to get your girl back because that's the proposal that you want. That's a trash man. That is a trash man. Didn't check for her for a year. Then when somebody else wanted her, now you want to come get her back? Trash dude. I don't want him in any parts of Bachelor Nation. No, we don't need dudes like that. We got enough. And then after all of this, Becca sends Trash Ross home, then goes to talk to Arie because she's mortified that he spoke to Arie. He spoke to him horribly as well. I could tell just from his interaction with Arie and Becca, I could tell exactly the kind of guy that Ross is, and I was like, gross. Anyway, she goes to Arie to discuss everything that's happening, that has happened. She's mortified. She feels bad. She's talking to Arie. And then Arie takes out the anger that he should have directed towards Ross on her. And I didn't like that. I'm just like, this girl is being doubly abused on this show right now. Like, she's pleading with Arie, and Arie is just like, well, you did talk about him a lot. You did say that you have a lot of feelings for him, and I just want to make sure that you're okay. I know 7 years just doesn't go away. Well, 7 years when you're really, really young. It's a whole different ball game when you're older. She was with him in college and all. It's a different ball game when you're an adult. So that puppy love and stuff could change. So I'm not holding that against her. But let's be real, Arie, she had to talk about him on the show. Come on. So I just didn't like it. I didn't like how just these two guys, in a sense, were like beating up on her, and I did not like it. You need to be mad at production, not at Becca. They pulled this scam. Becca didn't have anything to do with it. She was shocked just as much as you were. Becca compliments Arie. She upholds him. She does everything that she could do to reassure this man that she is here for him and that she loves him and that she wants to be his wife and the mother of his children. And he is just like, he is so offended that Ross came here to get her back. But Lauren breathes and he wants to impregnate her. It's so unfair and I hate it. I feel like we're back with the Peter and, what is his name? I was going to say Brendan. Peter and Rachel's dude now. See, you got to stay active. Dude, Brian, you got to get back out there, dude. You got to get back out there. We done forgot about you. But I feel like that's what it was. I felt like Rachel was so focused on Brian. No, it's not the same because Brian was pursuing her. Lauren ain't doing nothing. Ugh, the hell with it. Now it's down to the final 2 roses before we get the final rose, and Arie ends up sending Kendall home. He doesn't even allow her to go through the whole rose, conversation or whatever. He just brings her back and he's just like, listen, I don't think that we could get there in enough time. And then Kendall starts crying. And I think that she's crying more or less because she had a whole conversation with Arie, letting him know where she was at. I felt like that was the time for Arie to send Kendall home. Do not send her home after you have sex with her. I just wasn't for it. I'm just like, what you're not going to do is smash my cakes in the smithereens and then put me on a plane home after that. If you were feeling that way, Arie, I guarantee you were feeling that way before you slept with her. So you sleep with the girl and then you still send her home. And Kendall was so gracious. And I just want to tell the women on this show, you don't have to be gracious to terrible men. Like when men on this show are treating you terribly, the world is watching, your sister's got you. She had every right to cuss Arie out. Because if I was her, I would have said, did you not feel this way before we had sex? Because if you did, I would have liked for you to have said something before you entered me. Like, she could have said that. She had every right to say that. And I lost a lot of respect for Arie for doing that because it's like, you can't cut her if you were having these feelings of doubt. When you had this very intense conversation and she let you know where you were at, you still slept with her, then you sent her home. Trash move. Trash move. And then Kendall is in the car crying about not being ready and not understanding why she couldn't get there. Honey, you're 23. You know what I mean? Like, you are a few years into adulthood. There's so much more for you to figure out and see and learn. This is the best thing that Arie could have ever done to you. You know what I mean? Like, live your life, have a good time. You don't need to be tied down like this. Like, you could be in a long-term relationship if you want to, or you could just date around, or you could just be you and do you and just have a good time. Like, there's nothing wrong with, linking up with somebody early on in your 20s. There's nothing wrong with that, but he wanted to settle down. You're just getting started, girl. Have fun, live your life, and come back on Paradise and have a good old time. So next week, this show is going to be 3 hours. I'm here for it, though. Although it's going to be 3 hours, I'm here for it because I know it's going to be messy. Don't know if I'm going to go live after that show because it's going to be 3 hours. It's just going to be so long. And I'm also on the West Coast, so the timing is different, and I don't want you guys staying up forever, especially because the show's on a freaking Monday. So, a lot of people have obligations the following day. So what I will do is go live after the final rose because I need to get all the tea. I feel like that's going to be the messiest show this season, and I think that that'll be the best show for us to discuss everything that has happened this season. So if you want to be with me when I go live, let me know in the comment section below. 1, if you'll be there, and 2, also let me know what form of going live would you prefer me to do? I did Instagram live after the Rachel season of The Bachelorette, which was so much fun. Like, I was on it for a whole hour with you guys, and I didn't know that I had been there that long because I was having such a good time. But let me know if you want me to do Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube? What is easier for you guys, for us all to connect? Because I know a lot of people missed it out because some don't have Instagram, some don't have Facebook, but it seems like everybody has YouTube, but I've never worked with YouTube Live before. So let me know what you guys prefer, and if it's YouTube Live, then I'll probably do a couple of lives before that just to get adjusted to it. But let me know what you guys think. So it's either Instagram Live, which I did last time, or it's YouTube Live or Facebook Live. Either one of those will work for me, but let me know what you guys prefer, because I want to be able to talk to everybody. So write down in the comment section below which that's where it ends, and I'll see you guys next week for The Bachelor and the following day for After the Final Rose. See you guys then. Bye.